Hey, what's up guys? Miles here. I am going to keep this video simple. I'm really grateful for your fantastic support and message, like subscribing my channel and liking my videos. Your actions are very blessing. You guys give me so much motivation to share more amazing contents. You all subscribe to my channel and like this video. Some of you might feel, am I ready to buy a house or not ready? Probably. Certainly there are many reasons. Maybe your reason is because of inflation. Or you don't have enough money for a down payment. Maybe you check a house and didn't like it nor feel satisfied. It could be you wanted to wait later. A property you thought about investing into, you felt that the property wasn't a good return on investment or ROI. You might want to hold on. So actually, while you wait or save it for later, it can be a good thing because you have more time to decide. At the same time, you miss out the opportunity, like right. So you would want to grab an opportunity now rather than later. I thought instead of you buying a house, you can buy a REIT. You guys be like, what is REIT? It is Real Estate Investment Trust, REIT for abbreviation. Really, REIT is almost similar to owning a stock, but REIT is a little bit different. It's like a mutual fund. REIT has different types of companies, such as office, retail, mortgage, or residential. Not just them, there are more out there. Again, REIT is like a mutual fund, holding several real estate companies and making them into a single group or company. It eventually becomes a trust, holding the companies for the investors. I am telling you why REIT can be a good option because it's a sustainable growth. They do grow but at slower rate. Maybe I would say 5% annually. It's still good, compared to other aggressive growth stocks which tend to gain over 12%. Growing too fast means more risky because it's easy to go down suddenly again. While REIT grows slowly, it means less likely to go down suddenly. But you got to understand that it doesn't necessarily mean less chance to decline the value, not always. For instance, the 2008 housing market bubble grew, and many REIT crashed afterward. They were sustainable until the bubble. They can go from great to worst. Not just 2008, it happened in 2020 when the pandemic started. Knowingly, the housing prices went down, the same with REIT. I love REIT because I can invest at low price. Really, REIT is almost similar as buying a house or property. You might be like, what? How is it similar? Actually, yes. Let me explain to you. REIT has dividends like most stocks do. But most stocks' dividend yields tend to be around 2 to 3% yield annually. REIT's dividend yield tends to be higher, like 5 to 6%. Of course, because their earnings come from income-generating property like rental property, and then pay it back to the investors. It takes securities or money invested from the investors like us. It uses the securities to cover like retail, property, mortgage, loan, and or office. Once it generates sales or incomes, and then lastly giving them back to the investors like us. That's the reason REIT has good dividend payout. It tends to be 5 to 6% yield. Right now I have a REIT that I invested into. The REIT itself has an 8% of dividend yield. It's a very good amount. You might be thinking, is 8% dividend yield that good? Let me give you an idea. Let's imagine, right now a REIT is $100 a share, and I have 10 shares of it. It would be worth $1,000 in total. Now, the $1,000 multiplies 8% dividend yield, and it's $80. I'd be earning $80 a year from the REIT's dividend payouts. Now let's imagine if I invested $100,000. That means I would be getting $8,000 annually. Now if you bought a $200,000 house, and you would want to turn it into a rental property so you can make money off from a tenant, you're the landlord that earns rent. Let's say you earned $20,000 from rent while the property you paid itself was valued $200,000. For the remaining, you have spent on maintenance, tax property, and other expenses. I would say you maybe keep $14,000 or $15,000. The profit is almost similar to REIT. For REIT being invested $100,000 with 8% of dividend yield annually, that means I would earn $8,000 annually. Now let's take a look at the $200,000 with $20,000 gross and then about $15,000 net income. The profits from the REIT and property are almost similar and very good. REIT is really nice when it comes to a second option if you are not ready to buy a house or you do not feel to buy a house because you have to take good care of the property. It can be overwhelming, and REIT is here to keep in mind for your second option. Of course, REIT possibly comes with little more risky than investing a house because a REIT you invest into will be handling by the companies themselves. It's difficult to make decisions for the companies. That means if a company financially wrecked and goes bankrupt, your investment into the company will be gone. While you buy a house, you own the house. You have the title and control over it. You can decide whenever to sell or keep it. So saying this, you have more control when owning a house. REIT, you have limited control over it, and it's usually decided by the companies. It doesn't mean REIT is bad. Ever not feeling ready to buy a house? Don't worry, you can always take your time. At the same time, I don't want you to miss out opportunity. Take the opportunity by investing in REIT. Cap rate is often used for an investment property. You would want to figure how much you will earn from an investment property annually. Cap rate is similar to dividend, but dividend is used in REIT in stocks. How would you figure cap rate? It's really easy. Firstly, you want to know how much gross you earn from rent. Let's say you earn $20,000 from rent. For the rest, you have to pay expenses like maintenance and tax property. After that, you net the gross. Probably you have spent the $10,000 expenses. $20,000 deducts $10,000. You have $10,000 NOI dividing the $200,000 house you bought. Divided, and you have 5% return annually or your 5% yield. That idea is similar to dividend. Some REIT dividends have 5 to 7% yield, almost same as you buy a property. I can say REIT is a good investment, yes obviously, so that you don't have to wait until you are ready to buy a house. If you are not sure about a house, you can always go to and invest REIT. As I explained to you about REIT, now I want to explain another part, margin call. But you got to understand, especially for the people that don't know what to do with margin call or are not sure with borrowing money, I recommend you not to do margin call. It can be dangerous. Beware when you plan to use margin call or borrowing money, you could lose everything from it if you didn't handle it properly. Understandably, you only use margin call if you already own stocks. The stocks you own will be used as collateral for your margin call. Let's say you $10,000 worth of stocks, you can use margin call to borrow $10,000. I was looking on the internet. Right now the current mortgage rate for 30-year fixed is about 3.25%. Compared to margin call, it's a 2.5% interest rate. We can take advantage of that. It means we want to use margin call to buy REIT. So again, some of you who are beginners or do not know how to handle borrowing money, don't want to use margin call. I recommend you not to. I will explain more in another time, okay. Click the subscribe button, so you will get a notification as when I publish a video about margin call. You will know when you can watch it. So now you understand the difference between margin call and mortgage. Don't worry about margin call. You get the idea now. One nice thing about REIT is yes, they are stable and growing slowly, but it doesn't mean they are safe. They still can crash. As I explained you earlier about the 2008 housing market bubble, many REITs crashed and went bankrupt. REIT went the same during the 2020 pandemic. Right now, 2022, we have the housing market bubble. So, is REIT a good investment? It could be, up to you. It's your second option. Some of you maybe haven't owned a house, same with me. I haven't owned a house, And that's why I'm investing into REIT. I plan to buy a house soon in a year. My goal is, right now I'm almost finished my real estate licensee course. You can check out my first introduction video about it. In the first video, I explained that I took 3 prerequisites, and each had 15 chapters. 45 chapters in total in 135-hour-long class. So, I completed the 3. Actually, I completed the 2, and for the last one I completed all the 9 chapters. Now 5 more chapters to go as I'm on the chapter 10. My goal is to complete it as soon as possible. Once completed, I will be a real estate agent. I look forward getting a real estate license. Once I get it, I can start sharing you my journey as a real estate agent, like my experience. I guess that's all. You got the idea of REIT. Before you guys go, of course, subscribe to my channel and like this video. Why should you? Your action gets the YouTube algorithm to recognize this. And it will also recognize that my contents are so amazing. It'll recommend to other people to watch my videos. They will be very helpful to the other people. It also helps my channel grow even more. Your support is really blessed, and thankful to all of you. Take care and see you guys next time soon.